All right, hi everyone. Firefighter Hankins here with just a quick video on the ground ladder high point rescue technique. This is something I picked up at FDIC. All the instructors there are very knowledgeable, very smart guys, and this is one of the things I picked up in a hands-on class. So the ground ladder high point technique, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to start to where there's a known rescue. Perhaps I've come in here to save a civilian victim. We're on the second story or third story, somewhere where a ground ladder can reach. The window has been laddered, and I've made entry. Obviously, you'll do this in your full PPE, just like good firefighting, right? Full PPE. When you enter the room, of course, if there's a possible flow path, we're going to do the VIS type stuff. Isolate the room, make sure that we're not in a flow path. Given that, with the attention turned to the victim, if I have a victim here and I'm in an elevated position, I know I want to go out this window. There's a nice alternative way. It doesn't take the place of the Denver drill. This is an alternate method, another tool in the toolbox, if you want to use a catchphrase, that can help us accomplish this rescue. A little bit less manpower intensive, and it feels a little bit better as you lower the victim to the ground. This same method can be used for civilians or firefighters. If it's a firefighter and he has a pack on that has, is qualified for load bearing, we can just attach the carabiner to that SCBA pack and use that. We'll start with going on the assumption that we have a victim here, firefighter or civilian that does not have a pack on. So one of the things picked up from the training is make sure you know what's in your turnout pockets. To do this technique, for somebody who doesn't have an air pack on, we're going to utilize some webbing. This is a 20-foot section of webbing. I keep it in my turnout pocket right where I know where it is. It's in this pocket every time. Whatever pocket you want to put it in, just know right where it is. Don't daisy chain it so it'll deploy nice and easy. When I have my firefighter gloves on, when I'm in a situation that's stressful, I don't want to be fumbling with a daisy chain. So it just goes in my pocket, in there nicely so it'll deploy without big knots and things. To tie this harness that I'm going to use to help utilize this ground ladder high point rescue technique, as I'm doing this, I'm going to get on the radio and let them know on the exterior, hey, we need a ground ladder high point rescue technique from the second story window on the Alpha Bravo corner. Just designate it, let them know that's what I'm calling for, because they're going to be setting up some things on the outside to facilitate this technique. On the inside, right, I'm building this class 3 harness. So I throw my webbing in a loop around the patient. Then I come to the legs. And of course, there's many different ways to build this harness. This is just the way they showed us, and it seems to work very well. So I come up the legs here and just lay a loop there. I'm going to take the top of the webbing section and run it behind the patient, the victim, and try to get it to their lower back. I'm going to go on the inside of the arms. So now I've really essentially got 3 loops. There's the one up the crotch, and then there's these two, one from each side. So the one right here up the middle just goes like so. Now we have a nice class 2 harness. I can make some adjustments here, try and make sure it's kind of evened out. Then each one of these loops simply becomes a hole or a loop for the arm. So I go up the arm, right here. Again, many ways to build a class 3 harness. This is just the way they showed us, and it seems we've tested it several times, and it works really, really well. 20-foot length seems to be about right. Much shorter than that, you tend to run out. Much longer than that, and you'll end up with more than this. So 20 foot seems to work for smaller size guys, 5'5", 5'6", up to some of your taller guys. Okay. So at this point, we have a nice class 3 harness. If I wanted to shorten this up, we could take these 2 loops and tie a quick knot in them and shorten that up. Okay. So at this point, I'll utilize this harness, get the victim as close as possible to the window, and at this point, hopefully they're ready outside and they've set up what I need to do the rest of this rescue. Okay, we'll go outside and take a look. Okay, so from the outside, remember initially we ladder the window sill. Now this technique also works very well for balconies. Take your second story balcony apartment, your third story, as long as you have a ground ladder that'll reach slightly above where you need to go, then this technique will work. So originally laddering the window balcony and or the balcony to the apartment complex. Okay, getting your firefighter up in there to start that search and verify what you need. If he calls out that he wants a ground ladder rescue, a ground ladder Highpoint technique done, then the outside team is going to pull that ground ladder back away from the window sill, extend the rung so that ultimately your ladder is going to sit against the building, well above the window that the firefighter wants to use as the rescue point, okay? Or up to the next level balcony. We're going to keep that ladder in line with the window or balcony, and we're going to pull it back away from our normal, our normal safe 75-degree angle. We're going to pull it back so that it's less, it's shallower. Okay, it's going to be give us more like around 45-degree angle, fairly shallow. And then if there's a special set of equipment that's needed for this technique, it's this right here. And FDNY is spray painting their carabiners red and green. I'll talk about that in a second. But it's just, it's utility rope. It was life safety rope at one point. And up to your department, whether you want to use actual life safety rope, if you want to buy some brand new rope and dedicate it to this purpose, or if you want to just use some good quality, still in good condition utility rope, that works. It's up to your department as far as that goes. But essentially I've got some rope here, and I've got 2 carabiners on it. Okay, so with the red carabiner in my hand and that rope tossed back behind the ladder, I'm going to come underneath the bottom rung. I'm going to just keep that red carabiner in my hand, and I prefer to keep my hand here with that carabiner in it kind of on the underside so I don't get confused later and go through the wrong side. You'll see what I mean here in just a moment. So with somebody footing the ladder, because we are at a much more shallow angle, I'm going to ascend the ladder. And as I ascend the ladder, I'm looking at our window, our target window or balcony, and I'm kind of looking at the rung placement and how we are sitting positionally. And I'm assessing for how close I want to go up or how high I want to go up. If I go real close to the structure, and I'm going to clip into this one, in a minute you'll see that would put our patient really close to the structure as we lower him down. So as I approach the top of the ladder, I'm looking at the window or balcony and deciding where exactly I want to clip in. So here I'm going to say that I want to make this my target rung, this rung here. So I'm going to come underneath the ladder and enter 1 rung space below the target rung. Coming up from the bottom, I'm going to then just clip into that target rung. I'm going to take the green carabiner off of that red carabiner, and you can of course lock in, follow all your safe ladder operation stuff. Okay, and I'm going to start to feed rope through this rung space. So here's my target rung that I've got the red carabiner in. Here's my target space. So I'm going to feed some rope in, and I'm going to I'm sending that green carabiner down to the window. The firefighter on the inside, or firefighters on the inside, are going to be looking for this. So right now, as this is going on, the firefighters inside, they're making those harnesses, or they're clipping into the SCBA load-bearing spots, and when they're ready, they're going to be looking for this system to come into them. Okay. At this point, the person who's rigged this up, who's set this up, can come down off the ladder. There's no need for this guy to stay there. Okay. Now this person who's footing the ladder is going to stay there, and he'll just take this rope and kind of stand by and be ready. From the inside, they're going to take that carabiner, that green carabiner that went in, okay, and they're going to connect that to the harness that was made with webbing or the SCBA air pack. And when they're ready, they're going to be inside. They're going to call out down to the bottom. You know, if they're 3 stories up, perhaps the call will have to be made over the radio. If not, if we can hear each other verbally or see each other, you know, we'll communicate that way. When they lift the patient, they'll call, you know, ready lift. Down here, you can have 1, 2 guys, 3 guys, however many is available. From down here, we're just going to pull on that system here. As that gets done, that patient gets raised to the window, and in a minute you'll see that you know, that patient will come out and then be lowered to the ground. Okay, so from the inside, again, you know, I've rigged him up here with a harness, and you know, I might have to reach out and grab the system and pull it in, or the firefighters from the outside might be able to just send this in. Okay, if I can extend this, even if I can't lift the patient on my own, I can get this down here, clip into that harness, and then from the outside, in a coordinated way, as I call to lift, they can actually even help me raise this patient off the floor and to the window. Okay. Wish you want to go out there and just pull on this. So from the inside, again, I'm going to call out to the exterior, you know, ready, lift, over the radio if needed, just verbally out as allowed. So, all right. Okay, you ready? All right. So they're on the exterior. They're pulling down on that system. Ready, lift. Now this mannequin's actually fairly light, so that was really easy. But you'll find it's very easy. Now with a window, note that the window itself kind of keeps them in line with the ladder. If you are using a balcony, then it becomes a little bit more difficult. You just gotta keep in mind that with a balcony, you want to keep the patient's weight in line with the ladder and not swing them out wide and risk bringing that ladder over. Okay? Just keep their body weight in line with the ladder, and you'll do fine. Okay? So, you know, again, you ready, lift. Okay, and then help ease that patient out. Okay. All right. From the exterior, once the patient is out of the balcony or window, then it really only takes 1 person at the bottom of that ladder, the guy that's footing the ladder and has the rope in his hand. All it takes is some tension on the rope from that person, and he'll be able to control the descent of this victim with ease. Even a large patient, a very heavy patient, will do well. Okay. Let's go to the exterior one more time and take a final look. Okay, so we're on the exterior again, kind of taking a look again at how that functions out here. So once more, the firefighter on the inside calling ready lift. Until the patient's out of the window, you have 1, 2, however many guys are available, and they're pulling down on this rope. We hear ready lift. We lift, okay, and that patient comes out of the window, facilitated by the firefighters. So you got that. Once the patient is free and out off the balcony or out the window, these guys can just step away. Now you have to use your imagination a little bit. We're operating on ground level, obviously here. The application is for a 2nd story or 3rd story window. So, but these guys step away, and at this point, the singular guy footing the ladder, who has the rope in his hand, can control the descent of the patient or victim. Guys down below, as he comes near, can take him and help walk him away from the building. So, that's the technique in a nutshell. We'll teach you the technique in person and be able to answer any more questions that you might have. There are a few little tips that we'll point out to you that help with things, but overall it's a very good technique. It's just another option. Of course, the Denver drill works in these situations as well. But as you can see, one company really can help affect this rescue, and it's very controlled. It's very safe. Just another tool in that toolbox. So, all right, thanks.